Three, two, one.
What is up? This is Football Life Presents the Audible Final Four edition. I am your host, Randy Hammond, with my co-host, Matt Bushnell. Matt, I'm sure you're much warmer than I, but how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Randy. I always used to, during these dreary months and the chillier weather, we broke back into the 70s here, which is nice, but
Yeah.
rainy and cloudy with the chill in the air. So, got to find a way to stay warm down here.
You poor thing. You poor thing. Yeah. Well, we have a loaded show for you. Obviously, the divisional rounded in the books. Great weekend of football, and now we have a great weekend of football coming up because of it. My ideal Final Four, I like to think. I think before the playoffs, if you asked me what I wanted in the last four teams, these were it. Maybe you could substitute the Ravens in for the Bills, but regardless, this is going to be a great Final Four. I think these are the four teams that could totally win the championship, and we're going to break down each and every one of those games and all the games that happened as well. So stick with us throughout the rest of the show. We're going to get through all of the games that happened, all the games that are coming up. Our friend Corey Richmond will be coming on to talk about his Browns coming up in a little bit. But we're going to start with some news. And the biggest news, I guess, Matt, would involve a quarterback that we consider top five, maybe top three in the sport. Reports coming out of Houston that Deshaun Watson has taken his last snap as a Houston Texan, and they are looking to move the disgruntled QB. The organization seems to be going up in flames. I mean, they've made several bad decisions leading up to this point, but it appears that he hasn't formally asked for a trade, but it appears that Deshaun Watson is on the market.
Yeah, today I've heard from several people, several different media sources, and also a few friends within the know that Deshaun Watson has informed the Houston Texans that he will not take another snap for them. He did behind the scenes say that they need to find a trade. Deshaun has a full no trade clause in his contract, so he's really going to dictate who he goes to in this deal. So the major players that we think that they have to watch out for, Randy, at this point is really we're looking at teams like the Bears, the 49ers, and the Dolphins. I think either one of those three would be the front runners right now, but the Rams do have interest, as do the Colts, as do the Falcons. The Jets also do have interest. So the market is going to be flooded with offers. So I think it's going to be interesting what team Deshaun wants to go to and what team might be willing to mortgage a lot of the future that they're going to get.
Look, yeah, and at the end of the day here, you're going to give up a ton, but every team in the whole league minus, I'd say, maybe 3 to 5 teams should be calling Houston to try to make a deal for this guy. Every team is looking for a franchise quarterback who can do the things that Deshaun Watson can do. The Bears could go back to 2017 and right the wrong when they did not draft him and get him now. They'd have to completely jeopardize the future in order to get him, but it would be, in a way, righting the wrong. For the Texans, this could be a way to undo some of the wrongs that Bill O'Brien did, trading DeAndre Hopkins, trading all of these picks for Laramie Tunsil, and trying to sell, David Johnson, the washed-up running back, and Randall Cobb to be weapons after you got rid of all of their playmakers. Deshaun Watson is that guy. I mean, he is top 3 in the league, one of the best quarterbacks you could possibly have. He's so young. I believe he's only 24 years old, maybe 25. But regardless, you want this guy. He's going to make your franchise set for the next 10 years. So if I'm a team, I look at the 49ers and I say, I'm already in a window to win now. I can afford to give up a few picks the next couple of years and still have enough to win. The question is it 3 first-rounders? Is it 3 second-rounders? Is it plus an all-pro type player? You're going to have to throw in a Fred Warner there. How much are they going to ask? Because you are the 49ers. You have been very well run. You've accumulated enough talent to be in the position that you're in now. What are they going to ask for you? This is what happens to the New York Yankees. Every time the New York Yankees going to make a trade, they get a Yankee tax. Everyone asks for Gleyber Torres. They don't care about the farm system. Are they going to have to give up? They're going to ask for Joey Bosa. Well, guess what? We're not giving up Joey Bosa. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. The Bears, I don't know what the Bears can give up as far as player-wise, but I know that they would probably be willing to give up some picks. Matt, what are you comfortable with as a Bears fan looking at Deshaun Watson? I mean, you obviously want the quarterback, but you're going to have to give up a ton to get him.
Yeah, my opinion on this is, as it stands right now from today, I think every player is on the table for the Bears. What I would be comfortable giving up, I could see Akeem Hicks going to Houston. I could see Roquan Smith going. A player like Jalen Johnson, maybe Eddie Jackson if they're interested. Really, and then I think it's going to be 3 1s to pair with that. So they're going to trade 3 first-round picks, and I think they'll get 3 second-round picks as well. The thing that people say, the price is high. Absolutely, it's high, but we're talking a top 3 quarterback. So you take a look at teams like the Rams who have Jared Goff. What are they going to have to give up? When you pick later in the draft, it's going to go higher. So
Mhm.
the price on Watson's going to reflect where they think you'll be picking. Because I always used to have a theory. Brett Favre was always good for 8 wins a year. I always thought that. I still believe it. Guys like Aaron Rodgers can will their team to wins. Deshaun Watson's very much in that category. He's, probably the third best quarterback in the NFL as it stands right now. I think what you'll end up seeing is, and I'm going to go on a limb here, and I'm just going to make my prediction right now, Randy. I think the Bears obtain Deshaun Watson. It will cost them 5 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, and Roquan Smith. And I think the Bears are going to do that deal because they know they have to outbid everyone. And
Could you see that could you see a Khalil Mack being thrown in there just to ensure that they outbidded everyone?
I think the cap hit is going to be too high for Mac. You'd have to get really creative. Right now, if they traded Mac, it'd be a $34 million cap hit, which with the cap going down the way it's going down, it'd be really cost prohibitive for them to do that. Would I do it if I didn't have to worry about the cap number? Absolutely. To answer Joey and Akil's questions here, Deshaun can veto trades to any team in the NFL. He has full veto power. He's already talked with the Texans, and the 4 teams that he has given permission to seek trades with are the Miami Dolphins, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Chicago Bears, and the San Francisco 49ers. Those are the 4 teams that he's already said he'd waive his no trade clause to go to.
I mean, he'd
So
obviously be a great get for Pittsburgh, but this problem to the Steelers is you have a Big Ben looming around your franchise. It doesn't look like he's going to retire, so I feel like that deal is probably not going to happen. The Dolphins, to me, feel like a team that can totally make this move work because they have 2 first-round picks this year. They have a quarterback they can give up in exchange. I know he struggled this year, but I don't think anyone is totally out on Tua at this point. I think if you're Houston, you should want to try to get a young franchise QB in exchange if you can, because then you can take all those other draft picks and try to build something around them. If you trade Deshaun and don't get a QB in return, then you have to use one of those top picks for a QB, and you're kind of just doing this whole thing all over again here. So accumulating talent is a big part of this game, and if you have someone at the QB position that you're committed to, that affects this, I think, for sure. If I'm the Dolphins, I give up Tua. I give up number 3. If they want number 26, I'm fine with that too, and I can give up next year's first, and then you're only out of first-round picks this year and next year, and you're back and ready to go in 2023. I know that's in the AFC. I know that's you're playing a little rough of a game there, but I think if you're the Texans and you look at total picture here, you don't worry about what the Dolphins do. You got to worry about what you do, and you have to undo a lot of the things that Bill O'Brien did to your franchise when he was out the door. So if I had to make a prediction, I think he's going to end up on the Dolphins. So I think they just have the most offer right now. Unless the Niners go all in and give them like their next 4 or 5 first-rounders, then maybe I could see the Niners. But it's between those 2 teams for me.
yeah, I think Miami presents an interesting topic because I do feel like they have the most to offer, but it goes back to the evaluation on Tua. How good do you think Tua is? And if he's not rated highly, because I've heard today from Mike Florio that Tua wasn't even in the top 4 quarterbacks coming into this draft for a lot of teams. He said a third of the league didn't have Tua in their top 10. Or I'm sorry, their top 4 for quarterbacks. And then you take a look at the draft class that's coming in right now. I think a team, and we kind of mentioned them in the pre-show, Randy, that for the New York Jets. And, tease the Jets fans here or anything, but I think when you take a look at the second overall pick, which has appeal, obviously, I'll get to another team in a second chance, but we talk the Jets being able to swap those two first, because they have two first-round picks this year as well. They're probably going to
Yep.
be picking high again next year. Even with
Hmm.
Watson, that roster needs a little bit of tweaking here and there, but they have salary cap money too. The Jets have some decent salary cap money. So then we start taking a look at guys. Maybe Allen Robinson's a possibility, but the Bears are probably going to franchise Allen Robinson. So that's what I'm hearing. The Bears will use the franchise tag on Allen Robinson if they can't come to a long-term deal. So Allen Robinson's probably not leaving Chicago this offseason. So then you start taking a look at other weapons that they can get. It's going to
Kenny
be an
Galladay. I mean, Will Fuller was one of his favorite targets. They could sign Will Fuller. I mean, there are guys out there for available that the Jets could sign if they were to make a move like this.
yeah. So I mean, really, it comes down to what is Deshaun Watson worth, and I think teams are going to get into a bidding war. I don't think it's going to be where you feel comfortable giving up. You're going to be uncomfortable when you see the final deal. When this is done, I think you're going to see 3 to 4 first round picks off the board for your team. I think you're going to see at least 3 second round picks off your team. And I honestly think you're going to end up giving up an all pro caliber player too. And I think that's where the bidding is going to take it, because the Niners, I know, are interested. I know the Bears are interested. Yeah. And then
Mhm.
you throw the Jets in there. I think the Jets are going to get in there. So it's going to be a lot. So Deshaun's going to pick his destination. He wants out of Houston, so he's going to be leaving. It's just a matter of where he decides that he wants to go ultimately at that point.
Yeah, a good point in the comments. Unless Deshaun Watson wants to go to your team, it doesn't really matter how good of a package your team put together. Whatever team he chooses, that's going to be the best package they can get, is whatever that team can put together for them. So we'll see what happens. I mean, Deshaun, it all appears that Deshaun is gone. I don't know if what the Texans could do at this point to salvage that relationship. Maybe you're looking at hiring Eric Bieniemy, but I don't know if that's enough at this point. But I think the days for Deshaun Watson are over in Houston. All right. There are teams since the last time we spoke to you guys who have hired head coaches, and we're going to start with those New York Jets. They hired one of the most coveted head coaches on the market, and it is 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh. And Matt, I think they have a home run hire on their hands here. I think this is a guy who can come in right away and change the culture right in day one.
I love this hire. From the onset of when they decided to finally let go of Adam Gase, this guy was bar none the best candidate for this job. Like you said, Randy, it goes back to culture, instilling that toughness, that discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes so much of a difference when you have a guy that knows what the hell he is doing. Like when you just look at guys as coaches, you see Cocaine Adams out there, and you're like, what the hell is this guy doing? And then, Saleh, I love his philosophy, man. It's just about toughness, play the game the right way. The 49ers defense showed, a lot of different things that I think would be best to break down in tape, honestly. Let the tape speak for itself. But
Yeah, my favorite thing, you watch a 49ers game and you see how much the players on the defensive side of the ball react to him and how fired up he gets on the sidelines. Like, that tells me that he's a player's coach. Guys love to play for him. And not every coach is like that. Some other guys are more reserved. Some more guys are more X's and O's, more calculated. Not him. He's passionate. He's loud. He's outspoken. And I love that because the players respect that and they respond well to that. So that's how you're going to change the culture, is to get your players to buy in to what this coach is doing. And I think, to even use the Giants as an example, I was skeptical of the Joe Judge hire, but it was clear that the players responded to him. And you could see a little shift in the culture for the Giants. It's not perfect, but at least it's something. It's better than what it was. And I think the Jets are going to start seeing some shifting with how well the players respond to the coach. And Robert Saleh is going to be the guy who does that. Now, they hired an offensive coordinator also from the 49ers staff. His name escapes me, Matt. I don't know if you know, and with comments you can help us out. But, I mean, that's going to be just as big as this, because Saleh is not an offensive guy, but you're going to need an offensive guy in there, whether it's Darnold or a new QB, to establish something on that side of the ball, because the defense already has potential, but the offense needs some serious work.
yeah, from everything that I've heard, especially from Adam Schefter, Darnold is going to be back with the Jets next year. So, they're counting on Darnold to stay with them. I think the big thing is their offensive coordinator, Mike LaFleur, I believe. I'm not sure if it's
Yes,
Mike.
that's right. Yeah.
Okay. it's a concepts because his brother's Matt LaFleur over in Green
Yeah.
Bay. And you
Hmm.
see Green Bay kind of runs similar type of schemes, a lot of zone blocking schemes, letting their running back choose the hole that he's going to hit within that zone. I think the Jets are going to be able to, use that offense as well, and I think it's going to reap a lot of benefits to Sam. Because here's the thing about quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks as they develop. Sometimes the game moves so fast when you're able to roll out the quarterback, it kind of lets him take a deep breath. It takes away that thinking aspect of having to read the defense. So I imagine a lot of flood zone concepts where they're going to have a lot of guys to the side of the field that, they'll have the quarterback rolling out to, giving him options to throw the football to. They're going to cut the field in half for Sam. I think Gase did and really hamstrung Darnold in a lot of ways. Coaching matters in the NFL was a lot of the concepts were just, all right, Sam, I'm going to spread the field and you have to read the entire defense.
Hmm.
And with a porous offensive line and wide receivers that weren't very good, you're setting Sam up for failure at that point. Let him get some easy completions first, his confidence. But Gase, Gase is probably better suited for mature quarterbacks, more pro style ready quarterbacks that have been in the league for a little while. Giving Adam Gase a young quarterback is suicide. I think we've seen it now that Adam Gase should never be a head coach again. And maybe on a good team he could be an offensive coordinator where the head coach basically runs the offense. But don't give this man the keys to a young quarterback ever again because it's going to end up a lot like Sam.
Well, unfortunately for my love for Russell Wilson, he might be the victim of Adam Gase coming out because he's being considered for the Seahawks offensive coordinator position. That sucks. But anyway, yeah. I like the Mike LaFleur hire because, like you said, so many things that just need to be done simply when you have a young quarterback, and there's too complex of things that Sam wasn't ready for. And I'm not making excuses for him because he did a lot of that to himself too. But you got to help put your young quarterback in a position to succeed. Now we're going to talk about the Jets and their drafts in the offseason coming up here on the Audible, but. They have so many ways they can go with that number 2 pick. They could go Devontae Smith for a wide receiver weapon. They could go I think his name is Perry Sewell, the offensive tackle from Oregon, to pair with Becton and just create an absolute monster of an offensive line. I mean, they could trade the pick. There's so many different routes they could go there. But I think they need to commit to the offensive side because I think the defense already has some potential. And defense is Salah's specialty, so I think he could already build off of that already exists. So, all right. Next on the list, we have – where did I have next? Oh, yes. Arthur Smith has been hired by the Atlanta Falcons. He's been the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans for the last 2 years and been with the organization for the last 12. Matt, you're a little bit more fond of this hire than I am. I would have just preferred, if you're going to hire an offensive mind, to go Bieniemy here. But, hey, Smith turned the Titans into a top 5 rushing offense, top 5 total offense the last 2 years. Ryan Tannehill has been a top 10 quarterback each of the last 2 seasons. The proof's in the pudding when it comes to that, and I have a feeling the Falcons are going to try to adapt that identity somehow that the Titans have had in the last 2 years. I don't know. Arthur Smith, you sold on the guy. Kind of looks like Nicolas Cage a little bit. What do you think?
Well, I think, if the Bears were to have fired Matt Nagy, I would have wanted Arthur Smith in the building. I think he gets it football-wise. I think you take a look at Mike Vrabel and what he wants to do. Football – here's my issue with guys like Matt Nagy in general. And I know I circle back to the Bears, but it also applies to Adam Gase. Sometimes you make it so complicated that you choke the life out of everyone. Like, there's so many details to remember. Sometimes just simplifying things makes life easier on everyone. Tennessee doesn't run a complicated scheme. It's not some, at the 3.5 steps of the wide receiver on the out, you have to throw the ball to the opposite hash mark within 17.5 to 18 yards. I know that's a little ridiculous, but, that's what Andy Reid's offense really predicates itself on. It's all timing and being so precise. If you can run it, it's super effective. But there's not many teams, if outside of maybe one, that can do that. So now we take a look at Arthur Smith, who just runs, I'm going to shove it down your throat. Run play action, you're going to have to put guys in the box, and we're going to put big body wide receivers there with a little bit of speed. Good luck stopping us. And Tennessee's had a lot of success with that. Now, their defense really is their defense this year that really fell apart. Their offense didn't have too many issues. So I think at the end of the day, when you see Arthur Smith going to Atlanta, what are they going to do? Are they going to draft the left tackle out of Oregon? Are they going to draft a quarterback? What do they do with Matt Ryan? Everything that I've heard, Julio Jones will not be an Atlanta Falcon next year. So that's another person that's going to be on the market. Yeah, so now we're looking at how you could break this down. But Arthur Smith is a good guy to break down an offense and rebuild it up just by easy concepts and fundamental running game.
Yeah, I mean the Falcons' running game has been pretty bad with Todd Gurley last year. I mean, he's washed. I mean, he's out of the league at this point. And unfortunately, his knees didn't hold up for him in the NFL. I mean, he had a good run with the Rams and everything, but not too great with the Falcons. Don't be surprised if they try to find one of these stud running backs in the second or third round. I'm looking at Travis Etienne, the kid from Ohio State, I believe is Serby. And I mean, I don't think the kid from Alabama is going to be there, but regardless, they're going to try to find a guy in the mid rounds to. I mean, no one's Derrick Henry. No one's as big and as fast and as electric as he is, but they're going to try to emulate that for sure in Atlanta. So, look, he had success. I mean, the Titans' offense has been pretty damn good the last couple of years, so I understand it, but. I don't know what it is. I don't love the hire. I'm sure people have heard it, but I just want to point out for you, Matt, that one note. Arthur Smith's dad is now the richest man in the building, more so than Arthur Blank, the owner of the Atlanta Falcons. Blank is worth $5.3 billion. Arthur Smith's father owns FedEx, created FedEx, and is worth $5.4 billion. So not even the richest Arthur in the building anymore is Arthur Blank. So things go wrong, maybe his dad will buy the team. Who knows? All right, moving on to the most puzzling hire of them all for me, and it's not official yet, but it is kind of official. But the Detroit Lions are hiring the Saints tight end / assistant head coach Dan Campbell, and the most memorable thing about Dan Campbell to me was when he was the interim coach for the Dolphins a couple years ago, and everyone just commented on his muscles all the time. I don't know if you remember that, but look, I guess this is a culture move, I suppose. The Saints have been one of the more stable organizations in the last 5 years. But, again, not the move I would have made. What do you make of this move for the Lions?
Honestly, it's probably one of those hires that will fly under the radar, but it's probably a pretty solid hire for a team that really needs to rebuild culture. We talk about the having to rebuild their culture with Salah. The Falcons, it's not a bad culture in Atlanta. Probably a lot of, history there with Atlanta that you want to erase. And then they take a look at Detroit. I mean, it's been a dumpster fire. They should have never fired Jim Caldwell. It was the biggest mistake that organization ever made. And then you brought in a fraud, a phony, a piece of shit person in all respects. I mean, Matt Patricia is probably one of the worst human beings you'll come across in life. So now you kind of have to start over again with Dan Campbell resetting the culture, getting a guy in there. It's a lot to ask out of the Lions to just get back to normal. I mean, you think of the talent that they wasted, Matthew Stafford, Calvin Johnson. I mean, even now with some of the players they have, Ziggy Ansah was wasted there for a while until he finally left. But Darius Slay got traded to the, Eagles.
And Ndamukong Suh. I mean, Kenny Golladay seems to be one of those guys. Eric Ebron, they drafted 10th overall. There's been so many guys for the Lions. The list goes on and on. We don't need to ruin Leon's day like that, though.
Yeah, no. But, it just goes to show. I mean, Matthew Stafford's probably leaving one way or the other. I don't think he plays in Detroit next year. He should, but, you can't keep on doing these dumb mistakes. And that's why ownership also matters in the NFL. Having stable, reliable ownership, making solid football decisions is so important. So you don't end up like a lot of these teams, Jacksonville, and we'll get on Jacksonville too. But yeah, I mean, there's got to be stability.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it, to be honest with you. I don't know what really can be said. I know he was assistant head coach for the Saints, but we all know Sean Payton is the end-all, be-all when it comes to coaching there. The tight ends coach, look, Jared Cook had a decent couple years for them, but ultimately cost them the game. We'll talk about that game in a little bit with a fumble, but maybe Dan Campbell won him over with his interview. I don't know. But as of now, I don't really know what else to say other than I don't love it. It's not my favorite hire ever, and I guess we'll see what happens, but I don't really know what to make of it. All right, next hire on the list for us is the Chargers, which it looked like Brian Daboll was going to get this job, but then the Bills advanced to the AFC Championship game, and now they are moving to hire Chargers defensive coordinator Brandon Staley, who is highly coveted. Apparently one of the best coordinators in all of the sport, choosing the team that they share a building with. I mean, it helps when you have Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, but this guy is highly regarded as one of the best coordinators and one of the best defensive coordinators. So I guess good move for the Chargers.
I mean, Brandon Staley's from the Vic Fangio tree. Vic had him in Chicago, and Brandon Staley knows his shit, man. He's a smart cat that understands defensive football. To me, I get it, but Justin Herbert is so good at such a young age. Getting him with another offensive mind, I thought it'd be Eric Bieniemy here because it just made so much sense with the Andy Reid tree and their success with quarterbacks and offenses in general. But it turned out to be Brandon Staley, and I'm not going to get into too much arguments here or there about Brandon Staley's qualifications because he may be the most qualified person, besides Saleh that got hired out of these coaches. So I like Brandon Staley. I respect everything that he's done in Los Angeles, and he gets to stay in Los Angeles, so that's a perk for him. And, the Chargers are going to have Bosa, Ingram, Derwin James back. So they're going to have talent, and they're going to have, what, are they picking 13th-ish? I can't remember what.
No, it would be later than that because they made the playoffs, so it would be in the 20s.
The Chargers didn't.
No, I'm sorry, I'm getting them and the Rams mixed up. Yeah, the Chargers are picking in the teens somewhere.
Yeah, so he might be able to pick his middle linebacker that he wants. I mean, I imagine it's going to be an Alabama guy since they always seem to get picked right there. So they're in good shape. The Chargers are in really good shape. I wish it would have been Bieniemy here, but it's Brandon Staley, also a good hire. So kudos to the Chargers for getting a good coach here.
Yeah, young guy, 38 years old. He had the number one defense in 2020, which is, like I said, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey helped that. But you get Leonard Floyd, you get Morgan Fox, Troy Reeder, Michael Brockers with production too. I mean, that's pretty good. I don't know what to make of it. I think the offense and the Chargers would have been the way I went. I've been trying to get Eric Bieniemy a job here for the last 2 years, but like you mentioned, the defensive roster is pretty stacked for the Chargers, so expect them to take a big leap on that side of the ball. You get a Bosa, you got Melvin Ingram. Melvin Ingram. I mean, this is a stacked defensive roster, so don't be surprised if you see the Chargers in the top of the defensive rankings next year. All right, and moving on to finally, Matt, I don't really know, man. Urban Meyer to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Never been a coach in the NFL. Won 2 national championships with the University of Florida, one with the Ohio State University. And now the Jags are getting their man. He's going to get the number 1 overall pick. He's going to get Trevor Lawrence. And he gets a ton of money to do so. I just don't know how well of an NFL head coach he's going to be, and I guess we won't know until we see the product. But the Jags were all in on Urban Meyer, and they got him.
When they hired Urban Meyer, Randy, I immediately, my mind went to maybe Trevor Lawrence isn't the slam dunk number 1 overall pick. There's so many issues with this. Shad Khan, the owner of the Jaguars, said that he's not going to step aside from making personnel decisions. Like, it's not working in Dallas. Why the hell would you even want to do this? Because everyone's going to question you unnecessarily. The blame is going to go right to you. I'm sorry, but there's too many good football people out there that understand not only the pro game, but the college game. Evaluating talent is a fucking skill. And I get you're a billionaire. You're not a billionaire by accident, but you're also not a football guy like that. Like people, there are qualified candidates out there, men and women that have spent their entire lives in the game of football, whether it was evaluating tape, scouting, coaching, all these levels. And then you bring in Urban Meyer. And to me, this was all name recognition. It was nothing about football. It was about getting people into the stands and excited about your product. You know what gets fans excited and into your product? Winning. Winning. Now you get Urban Meyer. This couldn't have worked out better for the Jets because somehow I got a feeling that they are going to fuck this up, Randy. They are going to screw up this draft. I wouldn't be surprised right now. Trevor Lawrence is not a slam dunk at number one, and that's all I'm going to say. I don't know who they would go with, but Trevor Lawrence is not a slam dunk at number one right now.
I mean, that would be a big mistake. I haven't seen anything that would change their mindset as far as the number one pick, but he's an Ohio State guy. Maybe he recruited Justin Fields. I don't really know the details on that, but I guess that would be the route he would go if it wasn't Trevor Lawrence. I don't love the way Fields necessarily played in the college football playoff. You can't judge a quarterback's full body of work on that, but I think that'd be a big mistake not going Lawrence, but it would be great for the Jets if they somehow were able to win those final few games and still end up with this guy that everyone considers to be the man. So, the Jags, the Urban era, I kept seeing that all over the place. The Urban era down there in Jacksonville, and also Urban is all elite because Khan owns all elite wrestling, and he's more of a wrestling guy than a football guy. But hey, Jacksonville's been a bad organization, and they probably will continue to be. All right. That's enough news, coaching, talk, and all that stuff. Those are all done by bad teams, right? We want to talk about some good teams. And the good teams make playoffs. Good teams make runs in the playoffs. And good teams play deep into the playoffs. So we're going to do a quick divisional round recap here, Matt. Emphasis on the quick, but I don't really know how quick we're truly going to go here because we're not ones to just skip out on saying what we feel. We're going to start off. We're just going to go in order here on Saturday afternoon. The Packers beat up on the Rams 32-18. Game was closer than I think a lot of people realized, but the cold and there was fans at Lambeau. It was actually pretty awesome. I love what Lambeau looks like in January for playoff football. Just looks like what it's supposed to look like. It made life feel normal for a little bit. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams did their thing. I mean, the Packers just look the part, man. They just look like the number one seed in the NFC, a team poised to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know what really stops them at this point. They're so good offensively right now that even they get into scoring position at will. I mean, that's really what happens. And if they had another wide receiver to pair with Adams, it'd be game over. If Bakhtiari was healthy, I wouldn't even question next week. But the Packers dominate line of scrimmage. Aaron Donald couldn't get to Aaron Rodgers. I mean, a run for the Packers was better than a run versus the Rams. It is what it is. The Packers are so precise offensively. It's like watching a surgeon perform surgery at the best hospital in the world. Aaron Rodgers is like pew 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 pew. And it just looks so graceful and so pretty. And I know we'll get to Mahomes in a while too, and some other quarterbacks. But other quarterbacks make it look so physically taxing, and Aaron Rodgers just makes it look so effortless. And it's just amazing to watch him. And I know people hate him, and I know people have said that Aaron Rodgers is overrated. But just watch the Rams tape. Just watch it. He didn't give that defensive line a chance to sack him, and that's what makes him so different.
I mean, just look at the way he throws the ball. I mean, the snap motion of which way he throws and how accurate he is. I mean, it's just one quick snap, and it's just the ball is right where it needs to be. It feels like every single time. It is unlike any other quarterback I've ever seen throw the ball. It's so quick. It's so accurate. It's so just pristine. Rodgers on the day, 23-36, 296 yards, 2 touchdowns, adding a rushing touchdown, a pump fake, and then he rushed in the end zone. It was a beautiful play. The play to me that just made me think this game was over was in the first quarter. Matt LaFleur dials up a play for Davante Adams. He goes in motion to the left side, comes back to the right side, gets Ramsey caught up in the linebackers, hikes the ball, just creates just enough space at the 4-yard line to get Adams in the end zone. Rodgers, quick snap throw to Adams, touchdown. And Ramsey's just pissed off at the world at the safety for not covering him on that. And that to me was just like, that is a great play design. That is knowing that he's getting shadowed by the best corner in the league, and you're creating space to get Rodgers and Adams into a groove, and he did that. And then the Lazard play in the fourth quarter, he had a 58-yard touchdown that basically sealed it at the end. So not much to say. I think the Packers looked every bit of the part of a one seed you wanted to look like. They had the success running the ball. I think Aaron Donald's injury, really kind of screwed up the Rams here. I don't think he was the same guy. I know he got double teamed a bunch, but I think that he was crying after the game. I think the ribs were affecting him more than they wanted to let on, because he's Aaron Donald. He's superhuman. Like, he can't get hurt, but ultimately he can get hurt, and I think he was. But I don't know if Aaron Donald changes the outcome of this game, but I think it might be a little closer. What do you think?
I don't think so, just because of how well the Packers scheme and how quickly Aaron Rodgers dissects the defense. Like, the one thing, if you ever noticed about the Packers, well, two things. One, they run a shitload of plays. They will run anywhere between 60 and 80 plays a game on average, which is astounding when you look at some of the worst offensive teams that usually only run between 40 and 50. And then you take a look at how quickly Rodgers gets rid of the ball. It's damn near impossible to get to him most of the time. Yeah, and that notwithstanding, I just don't think Aaron Donald would have a shot. And you're talking about a superhuman, really, with Aaron Donald, and with bad ribs. You can't get air. It's cold. You're sucking gas at this point because Aaron Rodgers is just dinking and dunking and slicing you up like a turkey on Thanksgiving. And, you just can't catch your breath. It's hard. And I challenge anyone to go play on an NFL football field with either broken or bruised ribs against these guys. You're constantly getting hit in the ribs every single freaking play. When you play on the interior offensive line, you're getting kicked in the nuts. You're getting blasted in the ribs. I mean, stuff that goes on in the trenches is dirty and nasty. And you know what? I tip my hat to Aaron Donald, but I don't think it would have made a difference in the outcome.
Yeah, look, the Packers had 480 plus yards of total offense in this game, so you would have had to been superhuman to change any of that, I think. They almost dropping 500 yards on the Rams defense, which the Rams defense is damn good. It says a lot about the Packers there, and I can't help but to think that we're going to see a Green Bay Super Bowl this year. All right, moving on to the Saturday night game, we saw the Buffalo Bills went 17-3 over the Baltimore Ravens, and Lamar Jackson left this game in the second half with a concussion after a 101-yard pick six. Let me get the guy's name because I don't remember it totally. Teron Williams picked Lamar Jackson off in the red zone. The Ravens looked like they were about to score and tie the game 10-10. He picks him off in the end zone and returns it 100 yards, and that was the game. That shifted every single thing at that point. The Ravens defense shut down Josh Allen. They shut down the Bills offense completely, and it was just Lamar's passing struggles continued to haunt Baltimore, and ultimately the Bills benefited from that, and that play pretty much shipped the Bills into the Final Four.
I just can't get over how bad Lamar Jackson is under pressure. I get some teams are blitz beaters. Some teams are able to do different things against the blitz. But anytime there's pressure on Lamar Jackson, he struggles every single play. And we saw the Bills just completely expose themselves. They left zones wide open because they were like, we don't think you can beat us throwing the ball. We're going to blitz the house on you. And that's what they did. This game wasn't complicated. The Ravens defense was spectacular in this game. Have Josh Allen in check, didn't let Stephon Diggs go off. If you would have told me the Ravens defense would only give up 10 points, I would have said they would have won this game. But the Ravens offense disappointed.
Look, I mean, the Ravens only gave up 222 total yards of offense, and the Ravens had more than 100 yards more than that. I mean, total. The Ravens dominated this game from a moving the ball standpoint, but in the red zone is where it killed them. Justin Tucker, who is the best kicker in the NFL, missed 2 field goals, doink on each upright, which totally cost him 6 points. And then that interception in the red zone. Look, that is 16 points right there. That is the difference in the ball game, and you got to find ways to score points in those instances. And we talked about how this is a bad matchup for the Bills with how well other teams rush against them, but the Ravens don't offer that passing threat at all. I mean, even the Colts with Phil Rivers offered at least some sort of passing threat that the Ravens did not. So the Bills were able to stack the box, send pressure, limit Lamar Jackson's rushing ability, and you saw, how uncomfortable Lamar was back there. And it was cold. It was kind of snowy. I mean, Western New York is not the greatest place to play in January, so that was to the Bills' advantage as well. Look, I think for the most part, Buffalo caught a ton of breaks here, and I think they got pretty lucky, but I'm not going to crap on them for coming up with a game plan, seeing the limitations of the Ravens and exploiting them, because ultimately that's on Baltimore. That's on Lamar Jackson for not improving as a passer. Do I think Buffalo has been perfect this postseason? No, I actually don't like a lot of things I've seen from the Bills, but they have done enough to put themselves in a position to be in the NFC Championship for the first time in 26 years. So look, that 101-yard touchdown, that 101-yard pick six is going to go down in Bills history as one of the most important plays in franchise history, especially if they make the Super Bowl. That's going to be played on a loop in Buffalo for 100 years. I mean, I promise you, they are going to love that play forever. And it was insane. And Bills Mafia showed up, 6,700 of them, sounded like 60,000. And every Bills fan said that. And that's impressive. Good for them. I'm so happy for Bills fans. I know a lot of great Bills fans. But I just don't love what I've seen from the Bills. I think they got incredibly lucky in this game, and I don't really know what else to say. I think they've caught more breaks than any team so far in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. And like we said, this game isn't that complicated. And I agree with Leon in the comment section where he said Baltimore needs a true number one wide receiver. They do. I mean, I don't think anyone would argue that. But Lamar's got to be able to read that blitz. The number one blitz is throw it where they're coming from. Put the ball where the blitz is coming from. It's going to be open, and they couldn't do that. So I don't know. It's tough. I think Lamar will get a number one wide receiver eventually, either in the draft or in free agency this offseason. But he's got to be able to understand call the hot route, hit it in that spot. If not, we're going to do the same thing.
Yeah, and if there's any doubt on who the Bills MVP was this season, Matt, it is Stephon Diggs, who had 8 catches for 106 yards and a touchdown in this game. The guy has just been incredible all season long, and it continues for Stephon Diggs. And I think
he's making you eat your words every week.
I ate him, man. I ate the crow. I accept defeat on that take, man. He proved me wrong from week 4. He's been incredible. There's no doubting that anymore. Okay. All right, moving on to Sunday, and I think it's time we welcome in our guest because it is Browns time. Corey Richmond, our resident Browns fan, host of the Work to Shoot podcast over in Wrestling Life. Corey, look, I know that it has been probably a rough couple days getting over the Browns' season-ending 22-17 loss over the Kansas City Chiefs, but I guess before I ask how you're doing, I got to say, you got to be proud to be a Browns fan in 2020, I think.
Absolutely. Wait, did we play this Sunday? I thought the game was happening next Sunday. No. Great year. I mean, I know all over social media I put up, helmet to helmet. Yeah. I mean, that didn't cost us the game. I mean, no. I definitely thought it was a penalty. Do I love the touchback rule? Didn't love it before the game. I don't love the rule now still. I mean, was the right call? Yes. Was the helmet to helmet? Should that have been a penalty? Absolutely. Was there a similar penalty in the game that followed? Absolutely. That wasn't the question you asked me, but might have little some emotion as a result of that game. Was it a great season? Absolutely. Do we have unfinished business now? Are we, on paper, either the first or second best team in the division coming in next year? True. Mm-hmm. Like any great fan of a team, it's going to take a couple of days, couple of years to get over the loss. But, I mean, it's a great year. We've got a great coach. It looks like management that actually, for the first time in years, has an idea of what they're doing. I've got faith in Barry. I've got faith in Stefanski. Haslam, unlike, Sher Khan over there, seems like for the first time in his life, is staying out of business for a while. I mean, there's good things there. We're going to see if OBJ coming back and, be as much of a team player when he's hurt as when he's healthy. I mean, you got safeties coming back who didn't play all year, and Grady Williams and Delphet. There's good signs. I don't know if they re-signed Vernon. So, I know I'm rambling on, but it's a great year. First playoff, win in forever. First road playoff win in forever. First winning season in forever. So, there's a lot of good things to look at here.
Yeah, total stepping stone season for the Browns. If I'm a Browns fan, you've been dealt with so much crap in the last 20 years that how can you be mad about this season? I know the loss hurts. I know the way it happened hurts. And we can get into the game. But let's talk about that rule for a second, Matt. Me and you were pretty adamant that the rule makes sense. Pretty much, if you don't know what happened, Rashard Higgins for the Browns, catches the ball, runs at the 2-yard line, extends the football. And before he crosses the plane, the ball was jarred, and he fumbled it, and it went into the end zone and then out of the end zone. This is a very rare instance that this happens. This does not happen very often. I understand that it's probably not a perfect rule, but this is where my argument comes in. When anytime a team is driving, if you look at it, they are in the defense's team's territory. That end zone is the defense's end zone. They are defending that territory. If you do not get into that end zone with the football, crossing the plane with possession, and then you fumble it into the end zone and then it goes out of the end zone and no one recovers it, that is the defense's ball because they own that territory. That's my argument for that. Matt, you made an argument that there's less ground in general to recover the football. So all the rules are basically catered towards the offense anyway. So why not give the defense one here?
Yeah, the offense has 99 yards to play with here. 99 yards for a fumble, and it can go out of bounds. It can do a lot of different things. The offense typically has 11 plus 1 to recover the football, going the 99 yards. The end zone is such a smaller territory, less chance for the defense to recover it. So I kind of agree with you. That is the defense's territory. They are defending that. So you give the defense a break. My issue with it is this. If you don't give the ball to the defense, what do you do to the offense? Do you spot it at the 1? That doesn't seem very fair to me. You lost possession of the football. The defense never had a chance to recover it. Do you put them back at the 20? So what? Is it like a 15 or, I'm sorry, is it a 19-yard penalty then? Where, this guy fumbled. It's 2nd and goal from the 20. I just don't think there's a reasonable spot here where you can change the rule. Is it a perfect rule? No, but I'll contest there's a lot of unperfect rules in football. Referees every game trying to decipher what it catches is different per refereeing crew, and deciding a football move. Does every referee determine what a football move is? Some people mentioned you should be able to challenge these things. Well, always what challenging rules would be with the pass interference. Not one of them got overturned. So to me, it's just like we know what the rule is. Unfortunately, it bit the Browns. Has it happened to the Chicago Bears? It has. I've witnessed it on quite a few occasions. And Bears actually making it down to that end zone is a feat in itself. If you've been a Bears fan as long as I have. So we would like to be rewarded for that. It doesn't happen all the time. So, to me, I give the Browns a ton of credit. The defense looked good for a large portion of the game. The Chiefs early on were hitting on every cylinder. They just were picking things apart. I thought when Mahomes got knocked out, that was it. I thought the Browns would have won that game just because of the mistakes. The Chad Henne interception, it's not only one of the dumbest throws I've ever seen in my life. It's just, why even give him that option to throw that football down there? But I digress.
Yeah, Corey, I'd be willing to bet, Kevin Stefanski's going to win Coach of the Year this year, and I'm willing to bet you won't see a Browns player reach for the end zone like that again, unless it's 4th down or a 2-point conversion, because like Belichick and other coaches, they teach their guys, don't do that. Live to play another down. You got the ball at the 2-yard line. It should be 1st and goal from the 2. I'd be willing to bet that Stefanski's going to put that in his players' minds going forward.
Oh, no, absolutely. And Stefanski said, he tells them not to do that, but, he also at the same point said that He encourages the hustle that Higgins had there to try to do everything he could in a pivotal game. But let me ask you guys, and I don't know how many times. Like I said, I don't know for how many people know. I work for CBS Television. So after the game was over, I had multiple angles of watching that play and maybe make myself miserable for a couple hours after the game. And when I say maybe, the answer is absolutely yes. But was that a helmet to helmet? Should that have been a penalty there?
Yeah,
And
honestly, if I'm a Browns fan, I'm more angry about that because I do think it was helmet to helmet. I don't think it was targeting because I think when the guy is reaching for the end zone, you're trying to stop that play altogether. I think you're just trying to make something happen. But leading with your head is something you could have prevented. Helmet to helmet, absolutely, that should have been called. But targeting, I don't think that's nonsense. I think a lot of times targeting, you're trying to tackle a guy. I think almost every tackle is targeting when you break it down. But helmet to helmet, yeah.
Like I said, we should make stops.
Yeah.
I give Henry a lot of credit on that last drive, especially the fact that it was gutsy as all hell. And I would have punted the ball or, done a quarterback sneak or try to get him offside. What he did on that last play of the game took more guts and guile than, most players in the league will ever have, especially being a backup for all those years. And I say this openly, and I'm not from Cleveland, and up to this point in my life, I've never been to Cleveland. But it's funny, a Michigan quarterback is the guy who beat Ohio team. That is, one of the funniest things you're thinking about after the game. But, like I said, and like you guys said, it was a great year for the Browns. There's good things to look forward. But you know what? One of the things that's going to be not looked at this game as much, what happens if Mahomes doesn't get hurt? Is this game even as close in the second half? Mahomes has a history of, blowing teams out once he's got that foot on the gas. The defense was playing better, but Myles Garrett was out for a good portion of the fourth quarter with cramps or, whatever, a hamstring thing, which was going on. So, the best defensive player was out of the game. You have bad secondary to begin with. So if Mahomes doesn't get hurt, and I know that everyone's mother is going to be the most protective of them in the world, and I don't think Mac did anything that was super bad that, Mahomes' mom is saying, he's a dirty player, which is not true. If Mahomes doesn't get hurt, I don't think, like I said, I want to say as a fan that we still have a chance of winning the game, but I don't think, maybe we still cover the spread of 10 points, which I thought was ridiculous in the first place. But I don't think we come back and win,
Yeah, Matt, what do you think? That helmet to helmet there in the end zone, and what do you make of that Mahomes play?
So I'm going to say three things here, and it could be done pretty easily here. One, was it helmet to helmet? Yes. In the spirit of the rule, it was helmet to helmet. Whether it's a bang play, an incidental, it doesn't matter. I think that is something the NFL can go back to, and this can easily be done. You should be able to review helmet to helmet contact. There's not a whole lot of black and color there. It's pretty much black and white, not a lot of gray. You can see it. It's just there. A guy makes contact with a guy's head, leading with the crown of his helmet. That's a 15-yard penalty. Let them review that. Let them be able to throw the flag for that. I think that's totally doable. I mean, I know some people get sick of my Mahomes love, but it's well found. Mahomes doesn't get hurt. This is a 2 to 3 touchdown game. Garrett was getting gassed, and Garrett's their best player. And, when defenses get tired, you're on the field for a long time. Tyreek Hill's speed, Travis Kelce picking you apart in the middle. Chad Henne just doesn't see the game the same way Patrick Mahomes sees the game. Chad Henne doesn't have the arm. I mean, the touch, the accuracy, all of it. Mahomes would have, picked that secondary apart in the end in the second half. And once those Chiefs smell blood in the water, it's tough to come back from that. So it wouldn't have been as close as it ended up. But, man, I tip my cap to the Browns this season. A hard-fought game. They deserve every accolade. I was thoroughly impressed with that defense, fighting through all the adversity. Nick Chubb is a fucking man. I mean, that dude, he was carrying Chiefs defenders 5-6 yards after contact, sometimes still shaking them loose for 15 yards. I mean, it was impressive.
I think he hurt him a little bit with some drops, too, though. I think Nick Chubb didn't have his best game in this game.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would use Chubb. Yeah, I'm not sure if I would use Chubb as a receiving back to begin with. I mean, why not use a split back set with Chubb and Kareem Hunt? Kareem Hunt has better hands. I mean, but besides all that, I'm still a little sure about Baker Mayfield. He's definitely earned to be, the starter next year. The fifth-year option gets very interesting with Baker Mayfield. I think you have to pick it up now, and to see where it falls.
Look, I don't think this game is on Baker. I actually look back at this game and think Baker played pretty well. I know the numbers aren't kind to him, but I actually think he came to play, and he played I think Nick Chubb killed him with a couple drops. I think this game, and I'm unapologetically an Odell Beckham Jr. supporter. I think this game he missed OBJ big time on the offense. Some guy who can get separation, a guy who can stretch the defense, open up things for the tight ends, and maybe Jarvis Landry. I can't wait to see the Browns with Odell next year. Everyone shits on Odell. Everyone said the Browns clicked after Odell got hurt. I think that's coincidence. I think the Browns are going to be so much better next year with number 13 out there making plays for them with Baker Mayfield. And I think Baker and Odell are determined to make it work. I think part of it was pressure, trying to force him the ball. I don't think Odell is that kind of guy per se. I know that's the narrative around him. But, Corey, I want to get your thoughts. Baker in this game, Baker going forward as a Browns fan, how excited or, maybe just what are your expectations for Baker Mayfield?
You know what, Baker, I've always said, is a guy that less is more. He's shown up big in a lot of games in the first half. He had a couple of good drives and later in games in the second half, which were really showed a lot. I mean, that Tennessee game where he had the 4 touchdowns in the first half was great, and then all of a sudden the offense decided to go and forget how to play football, conservative like you see with 1,000 other times, with just not just the Browns, but a lot of other teams when they have big leads, you forget how to play football, and it's just prevent defense and conservative play. But I was impressed by Baker's maturity this year. He actually went and decided that football was more important. I do enjoy the fact that he put this team on his back. I do think this is a running first team. I do think this team needs to go improve on the defense more than it does on the offense. Odell coming back, I think, could only help. I mean, I do think that it's got to figure out that this team is a running team first. And like I said before, the idea of him being rah-rah and on social media going and saying how he supports his team, he's one of those guys that it's going to be really interesting to see. And I think you'll both agree with me that it's one of those statements when you're on the field, what you do on the field compared to what you say when you're sitting there hurt and you're just dying to play. When you're dying to play, you're like, this, that, what you guys are doing out there is great. You want to be part of the team. When you're out there and it's all of a sudden the New York Giant version, which, Randy, you've seen, with him, making love to a goalpost and proposing and all the BS stuff that he did, which drove, Giants fans crazy besides the one-handed catches.
But he hasn't done that with the Browns. He has yet to do anything like that with Cleveland.
Yes. You know why he hasn't had a chance to do that? Because he wasn't healthy enough to do that the whole time. And like I said, I like Odell. The times I saw him live against the Giants and the Jets, and he played there, and I was impressed by what I saw. But you know what? You got to see what he does when he's healthy, and if he can be a team guy. Because in spurts, he looked like Odell the first, 2 years in the league when he had that game against the Cowboys, where he looked like an all-world type of player. But can he do that when he's a member of a team, not just the me attitude, which I'm going to find fascinating because I also think they have to re-sign Rashad Higgins because Rashad Higgins is a key part of this offense. One of the things that you saw last year, and you can say it's pure competence from the coaching staff, but Rashad Higgins has a great reputation of being a team guy with Baker, and he was just forgotten about last year. And I don't know if you want to just say it's 1 + 1 = 3 or if it actually does equal 2 in this situation, but Odell gets hurt, Higgins wakes up, and he's part of the offense. I don't know what is there.
I think Higgins is a good player, and I don't think that's any doubt. I mean, I think he's a solid 3, and I think he could be a 2. But I think the thing with Odell, he's always wanted to win. And I think it's misconstrued that he wanted to be the reason why they won. I think he knew he was the best player on the Giants, and I think that's why he wanted the ball so much. He's like, get me the ball, I can help us win. I think with the Browns, at this point in his career, he can take a step back and say, I can be a guy who can complement what we're doing here. I just want to win. I truly believe that. I mean, I could be wrong. We'll see what happens. But I believe that he is a guy who just got to the point where he was so sick of losing, and it was always the way it was with the Giants. And he was the only player making plays, doing things that were good enough to win, and he snapped. In 2016 was the only year they made the playoffs with him, and he was one of the biggest reasons why. And he did all those antics, and it kind of grew old on everyone, and the New York media was all over it. I think Cleveland is his chance to right a lot of that stuff. But before we let you go here, Corey, you wanted to make a comment about radio. I don't know if I'll call him legend, but radio guy Colin Cowherd. He loves your boy Baker Mayfield and his backwards hat. He acts like Baker Mayfield's the only quarterback to ever wear a backwards hat. But what did he say that really made you mad?
All right, so Colin Cowherd, he's just one of these talking heads that makes you crazy. But he said something today that just was so asinine. And besides all the Baker Mayfield crap that he says, and that's just for the public radio. And I think what he said today was just to get himself out there. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but he said that they should cancel this game on Sunday until Mahone can pass the protocol with concussions. And I know this is just a radio jargon thing. I did college radio. I'm sure a lot of other people who out there, and you say things just to get people to do things out there. And as if somebody works for CBS, and more than anything now, we want the State Farm Super Bowl, Brady versus Rodgers, be huge ratings and everything else. But the idea of them canceling a game or postponing a game because he can't, protocol is absolutely ridiculous. And I understand it's just to get people out there. But Colin Cowherd, any respectability that you supposedly have, you got to stop saying these stupid-ass asinine things just to get people to get angry. And I understand why he does it because, he got the reaction he wanted. But I'd love to get your guys' point of view and like I said, you're not canceling games because of COVID where, and I know we won, so, it's almost sounds asinine for me to complain after the fact. Half of the Browns team and their coach was not available. He wasn't complaining on the fact that, we should cancel that game or postpone it. We should cancel the AFC Championship game because Mahone can't play, possibly. Just saying.
Matt, you're the Mahomes guy. What do you think?
Such bullshit by Colin Cowherd. You don't cancel a game. The game's there. I have let my disdain for Colin Cowherd be known on so many levels. The guy's an asshat overall. He's made a career out of saying stupid shit and having following from fan bases that he favors. As a Bears fan, often at the end of his jokes, I've had to deal with a lot of that. But some of the stuff that he spits out here, you don't cancel a game because a player can't play. When, to Corey's point, you had half the damn Browns out for a playoff game? The head coach wasn't even on the field? That's bullshit. No, if Mahomes can't go the game, you put your best guys out there. If Chad Henne can't beat Josh Allen, then the Bills belong in the Super Bowl. And one little stat for everyone here, the last 4 AFC championship games the Buffalo Bills have been a part of, they are 4-0.
We'll get to our game previews in a second, but just to answer your question, Corey, they made the Broncos play with a wide receiver playing quarterback. It's just not going to happen. I know Mahomes is so important to the league, but if you get Buffalo versus Tampa, Bills make the Super Bowl only to play their hated division rival that escaped to the other conference for the first time. That's a hell of a storyline in the Super Bowl. You get the Buffalo Bills, who lost 4 consecutive Super Bowls in the 90s, that's going to be great. You're going to have such a great fan base to support. Everyone's going to root for the underdog in the Bills, whether it is against the Bucs or the Packers. They're not worried about it. The Chiefs will be back. They're not worried about that. There's no way in hell they do that. You have a COVID outbreak for the Super Bowl. That's another thing. You could probably postpone that game. You're not giving a special treatment to one player in particular, who happens to be the best player in the sport, for a championship game when you have someone who can take his place. It's just not going to happen. You did it all year round. You figured out how to go around all this COVID crap all year. You're not going to change how you did it now. But Corey, look, we talked about the Browns a lot. Me and Matt both were high on the Browns coming into 2020. They did me right. They made it all the way to the division round. They gave the Chiefs everything that they had. You probably feel like they had a chance there with Chad Henne in the game, but they couldn't get the job done. But we're going to see the Browns more in the playoffs in the future. So I have no doubt about that, my friend. I know you host the Workshoot podcast. Why don't you tell us a little about it when you guys are coming back?
Until the foreseeable future, until Henry gets annoyed us, or the pod jobbers decide to kick our ass and take back their spot, or whatever happens. Me and a fellow member of this great life group world that we have, Jason Brooks, big Packers fan, which sure he's still giddy that the fact somehow they're in. We do a show every Thursday at approximately 7 p.m. Eastern time, talking about all the good, bad, and a lot of the ugly known as main roster WWE, AEW, NXT, MLW, ROH. Every once in a while, we'll talk about the guy that's on your shirt, CM Punk, one of the great promo guys of all time. He keeps himself in the know every once in a while. Saying he might come back if the money or the opportunity is right. Said that on Oral Sessions on the Renee Paquette podcast a couple of weeks back. So he's always makes it interesting. A couple of big shows coming up for all those brands the next couple of weeks. We'll be talking this week about the announcement next 3 years of WrestleMania locations have been named. Interesting to see what Jay thinks in regards to two nights this year. And as of right now, one night for the next 2 years. Talking the big developments about the Royal Rumble, a lot of other things. Love to have either one of you guys on the pod. Whenever I know that you guys both have crazy schedules, but love to share your takes on that and everyone else within the family. So of course check out Workshoot Wrestling Podcast. You guys are on episode 244. We'll be doing episode 259. So you guys have a little bit of a way to catch up, but as always,
44. Just 44. We haven't put in that much work yet. Just 44.
44. What did I say? 45.
Yeah. You said 244.
Oh,
we're only a year into this journey. But hey, I want in. I mean, the Royal Rumble is my favorite pay-per-view every single year. I love the Royal Rumble. I loved it since I was a kid. Ric Flair won the Royal Rumble in my hometown in 1992 when he won the Royal Rumble and won the WWF Championship. So I love the Royal Rumble. The rich history of my life. A fun fact about this shirt, I bought this on Pro Wrestling Tees of CM Punk's store. All the proceeds went to the family of John Huber when he passed away just a couple weeks ago. So if you haven't got the chance, go check that out. Maybe go do something and support that family. Unfortunately, a popular wrestling figure in our time recently passed, and I want to do something to support his family, and CM Punk was nice enough to give me that chance. So, Corey, it's a pleasure to have you on. I wore the shirt specifically for you. You're a resident wrestling expert. So, hey, you're a Browns fan. Congratulations on the successful season. Nothing to be ashamed of. Bright future ahead for your Brownies.
And as always, like I said, thank you for the time. And like I said, hopefully you guys can get Jason Brooks on to talk about hopefully when either the Packers win or lose. And secretly go anybody but the Packers so he can join my misery as well. But, I think hopefully we'll be in the Super Bowl in 2 weeks' time. On CBS, hopefully we won't screw up, what we did this week with the WBS people, but that's for another subject. Can't really talk about that. But as always, thank you for the time, guys.
All right, thanks, Corey.
Thank you.
All right. Corey Richmond coming on to talk about his Browns. Matt, we always love having Corey on. We're going to have to hop on the wrestling show and break down some good old-fashioned wrestling. All right, we got one more game to talk about before we move on to the championship weekend, and it is the battle on the History Channel of the two oldest quarterbacks ever, 43-year-old Tom Brady, 42-year-old Drew Brees, and it was Tom Brady getting the best of Brees. Look, this wasn't my favorite game of the weekend, the game I wasn't looking forward to the most because I think these two quarterbacks at this point in their career are incredibly limited, but it was the Bucs winning 30-20 over the Saints. And Matt, if anyone really stuck out to me in this game, you're the X's and O's guy, but I played football. I can kind of know what I'm looking at here. Devin White for the Bucs was just all over the place, man. Every play there was to be made on the defense, he was in there making it.
Speechless. I mean, when you talk about a single player wrecking everything that the Saints do. So basically, if you haven't watched the Saints the past 2 years or watched a lot of them, they live and die by the short 10-yard passing routes. Like, that's their territory. Devin White blew that shit up in a ball of smoke. Breeze looked awful. They said, we dare you to throw it downfield. Go ahead, do it. And he couldn't. I think without a shadow of a doubt, we witnessed Drew Brees' last game. And it was a prelude to what we talked about in the offseason. It was the battle at the OK Corral. John Wayne versus Clint Eastwood here, some historical gunners. And Brees it's done. It's done. You saw it on tape. The game, I'd be interested to look at the coach's film and see how Brady read the defenses, but the arm, the mind may still be there, but that arm is done. When you can't make those throws and and you can't fit it. You can only anticipate so much, Randy. And really, what we saw from Brady, I wasn't really even that all impressed with Brady.
No.
I thought he made the easy throws and he did what he could do. To me, I think this is the last dance. For Breeze. Congratulations to the Saints for a fun season.
I mean, Brady wasn't very good either. He was 18 of 33, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns. He looked very old in this game too with points. And I don't think the Bucs offense has truly clicked. I think there was plenty of miscommunications and Brady making stupid throws and receivers not running the right routes. That's been a whole thing for the Bucs all year. But Drew Brees, 19 of 34, 134 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 picks, and the 3 picks were backbreaking. Jameis Winston, by the way, won 156 yards and a touchdown. Free Jameis. I'll say this. The Saints were up 20-13 in this game when Breeze hits Jared Cook for a ball in the middle of the field. He has the first down. He's still running. And then Antoine Winfield Jr., the rookie, punches the ball out, recovered by Devin White. And you could just feel all the momentum shift at that point. The Saints felt like they had controlled the game. The Bucs couldn't get anything going offensively. And at that point, it was just, this feels like the end for the Saints. That one fumble, it's crazy how one turnover can change the momentum of a football game, and it did right there with Jared Cook. I felt like the Saints were going to win this game, maybe by double digits until that point. What did you think?
I thought so too. I thought they were starting to pull away at certain points. I didn't think I didn't think Brady was going to be able to do anything that he did later on in the game. To me, I go back to what I saw, and what I saw to be true is that the Saints had opportunities to win this game, but at the most important position, they had a colossal failure, and that's at quarterback. And anybody that wants to criticize Deshaun Watson, you're giving up too much. Well, this is why you give up so much for a quarterback. Everything for the Saints was perfect. Everything was working well. Breeze doesn't throw those 3 interceptions. You want to know how many points the Bucs got off those 3 Saints turnovers? 21 points.
21 points? Yeah.
21 points. Breeze doesn't throw those 3 picks. We're talking about the Saints moving on to the NFC title game. But, this is why you give up all that capital. Everything can be perfect. But if your quarterback is not good, you're not going to go very far. It just is what it is.
Yeah. Look, I think it's time for Drew Brees to retire, and it came out before the game that Jake Glazer said that Brees will play his final game at the Superdome, before that game, and I think they said that he was going to retire after the season, so even if they won, they weren't going to play at the Superdome again, so they were anticipating this was the last home game for Drew Brees. Now we know it could be the last game for Brees. He said after the game he's going to take some time to think about it, but I think all signs are pointing to Brees retiring here. Guy's played for 19 years. He's number 1 all-time passing yards, top 3 all-time touchdowns. I have a hard time deciding where Drew Brees ranks all-time, Matt. You might have a better perspective on this than I do, but I find him somewhere in the bottom half of the top 10. What do you think?
It's complicated. He played in an era where it heavily favored offenses. And now when we talk about the top 10, Randy, we're talking about quarterbacks with multiple Super Bowls. A lot of people consider Marino one of the greatest quarterbacks that ever lived. He didn't win any. Mm-hmm. I tend to agree with you. I think anywhere between 8 and 13 is probably where he goes down. Depending on how people view quarterbacks. One of the people that come to my mind is one of the greatest quarterbacks that ever lived, Warren Moon. Hardly sees his name on any of these lists. But Brees doesn't have the arm strength, but he has the accuracy of Warren Moon. Drew Brees might be the most accurate quarterback that ever played football for such a long time, and he did more with less than any other quarterback I could possibly think of. I don't think we ever want to see these guys retire. It's a piece of our childhood that we grew up 20 years ago, Randy, when he was drafted. A young Matt Bushnell was getting ready to graduate high school and continue his football career in college. Mm-hmm. So, it's one of those things where you watch and you feel it. Everything just happens so quick. But yeah, I mean, he has to be conversation of top 10, and no matter how you slice it. Would I put him in the top 5? Probably not, but definitely agrees. I agree with you on where you put him.
Look, I look at what Drew Brees did as a quarterback, and he's undersized, and he never had the biggest arm ever, and he moved from a loser organization like the Chargers, who drafted another quarterback while he was still there, and he had a decision to make. He could have gone to the Miami Dolphins. He didn't really have a decision to make, but he could have been signed by the Miami Dolphins and Nick Saban, and he failed his physical. His shoulder, they didn't like it. They said no thanks. So the Saints pick him up. And what he did for New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, which we obviously know they're still feeling the effects of that 15 years later, what he did for the city by winning the Super Bowl for them, being the focal point of the Super Bowl team, him and Sean Payton are going to go down in history as one of the best head coach quarterback combinations ever, and I believe that. I think he benefits from a few things. Sean Payton is a great offensive mind. I think playing in a dome for 15 years. I know no one wants to hear that, but I think that helps. I think that's partially why the Saints haven't had so much success in the postseason. I think when you start playing outside, when it's windy and when it's cold, it affects you a little bit. But as far as a guy go, Drew Brees is a hell of a guy, Hall of Famer without a doubt, but only having one ring. Look, you got one less ring than New Orleans legend Eli Manning. I think that you can look back at his career and see that he only has one championship. The last 4 years have ended brutally for the Saints. And if you're a Saints fan, you probably have a bitter taste in your mouth that it didn't end differently for Drew Brees, and you don't at least have one more. And I think they went all in on trying to win it for him. Michael Thomas, it came out today that he needs ankle surgery, and he played to try to get Brees another chance to win the Super Bowl. Michael Thomas didn't have a single catch in that game. So I don't think he regrets it, but ultimately I think Brees, whether he wants to retire or not, I think it's the doors closing on him. And another door is opening at CBS, and I think he's going to be a great color guy for, not at CBS, NBC, I apologize, for NBC with Mike Tirico. Looking forward to hearing that team in the future. But overall, Brees' legacy, I don't think it's that complicated, but also I think there are plenty of guys ahead of him.
Yeah, definitely. Plenty of guys ahead of him. He deserves his place wherever it may fall. I'll be curious to see, is NBC dumping the Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth booth?
I don't think they're dumping it, but I think they're expecting Michaels to retire soon, and I think Collinsworth's contract situation is up in the air. So, and if that team stays, you still have a number 2 now in Tirico and Brees until those guys are ready to move on. Because NBC, they only get one game a week, but they're starting to get those Thursday games in the playoffs. You get each of the night games. You might need a backup team for that. So it can't hurt to have another team ready to go. Especially Tirico, he's incredible. I think Tirico is one of the best play-by-play guys there is. And at the very least, you can have Tirico and Brees do Notre Dame games on Saturdays.
Which would be a good booth. I mean, and Brees knows the Midwest. He knows Notre Dame. He played at Purdue. So, but a good career for Brees. Top 10, top 15-ish, somewhere in that range. And, he'll make the Hall of Fame, no question about it. Nothing to be ashamed of.
Not at all. I think he's a football legend, no doubt about it. And if it was the last time we got to see him play, it's been a pleasure, man. One of my favorite pregame hype guys ever. If you ever get the chance, go on YouTube and watch the Brees hype where he goes 1, 2, 3, 4 again, 3 again, and then the whole team in sync, just going back and forth, and it gets you so hyped up, ready to go. And then they all just do ho ho ho. Brees is in the center of it. It gets me goosebumps just thinking about it. What Brees means to football is great. It's been a pleasure watching Drew play. So go check that clip out if you haven't. Maybe I'll post it in the group later. All right, that's enough of the divisional round. That has passed us. It is time for the Final Four this weekend. Both games on Sunday. The first one is Tom Brady traveling to Lambeau Field in the frozen tundra. Brady's bones might break as soon as he steps on the field. But it's the Tampa Bay Bucks traveling to play the Green Bay Packers. And my first thought when I look at this matchup, and it is a Aaron Rodgers legacy game, and I'll tell you why. Rodgers has lost his last 3 NFC title games. It was the blown game. They were up 16-0 against Seattle. In Seattle, they got absolutely smoked in Atlanta when Atlanta made the Super Bowl, and last year they get beat up by the 49ers. The biggest difference, all those games were on the road. This is the first NFC Championship game for Rodgers at home, and I think he has to win it. I think his legacy, it will be not defined by it, but severely hurt if they do not. Matt, your quick thoughts on Aaron Rodgers, NFC Championship game, home at Lambeau.
He's going to win. I just think this is, players look for motivations in the tiniest places. I know everyone laughed, everyone killed, everyone just blasted the Packers for drafting Jordan Love. But if the Packers make the Super Bowl, it was worth every damn piece of criticism. Aaron Rodgers looks different this year. I know he struggled at Tampa, but that was like his one bad game this year. Yeah. Every other game has just been like Rodgers, lights out, boom, 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 3-4 touchdowns here or there. It's a different Aaron Rodgers. Could they go in and lose this? Absolutely. I'm not saying that that's not a possibility, but man, I don't see it, Randy. I think what Aaron Rodgers is going to do against a very bad secondary for Tampa that's beat up, Devontae Adams, Robert Tonyan, Scantling, if he gets deep, Emmanuel St. Brown. I butchered his name, but they got speed. And I just think the Packers are well suited to win this game, and Brady's going to fare well. And there's a reason why he left New England. He didn't want to go this route to the Super Bowl. So,
well, that's a good transition because now we have Tom Brady back in the Final Four, which he played in 9 He's played in 12 conference championship games, which is just insanity. I mean, he's his own organization at this point. Like, that is a ridiculous number to be a part of. My favorite stat is that the last 26 years, the Cowboys have made one NFC championship game, and they've been in the NFC for the last 26 years. Tom Brady has made one NFC championship game in the last 26 years and has only been in the NFC for 1 year. So any chance you can crap on the Cowboys, I'm here for it. But look, Tom Brady, the Bucs were talented with Jameis Winston. The Bucs' problem was that they could not stop turning the football over. They had instability on the offensive side of the ball. If Brady did anything else, is he added an offensive genius mind to this offense. He doesn't turn the football over. He is smart. He gets on the guys. There's no doubt about that. They could probably hate him, but he doesn't turn the football over, and he's smart enough to know what to do in certain situations. And Jameis Winston, I love Jameis Winston, super entertaining, but not that guy. So Brady in himself was the missing piece for this Bucs team in a way, because they needed a guy who could come in and just understand how to win and not turn the ball over in key spots. Brady finds himself here because he's so ridiculously smart, not because he's physically able still, not because he's the greatest quarterback of all time, because he is a great competitor and one of the smartest QBs I've ever seen. You could say you might know what's coming, Matt. I know that's what you're thinking, but in this case, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think Arians is that kind of guy. But this matchup is great because we never got Brady versus Rodgers in the Super Bowl. We were close twice, and I'm so mad we didn't get it. But this is the battle of the 12s. One guy who's an MVP, another guy who's a 3-time MVP formerly. Rodgers looking to make his second Super Bowl, potentially win his second Super Bowl, on an absolute tear this year. Look, I know the Bucs are flawed. I picked them to make the Super Bowl before the season started. But I can't go with it. I think the Packers have been so good, too good all year long to have home field advantage, to let a team from Florida come in here and beat them here. I think this is a Rodgers game that we're going to look back on and say, he won MVP, and this is why he's been this amazing all year round. And I mean, Matt, I want to get your official prediction, but I'm just going to tell you now, I think Green Bay wins this game, and I think they win it by 10 and maybe even more.
One big issue I saw from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers all year, lack of discipline on the offensive side of the football, too many dumb penalties. Then you also have to worry about those tackles not being able to protect Brady. Against the Saints, it's not very much of a pass rush type of defense. The Packers will bring the smoke. Like, they are going to bring it with the Smith brothers. Kenny Clark is just a mammoth human being up the middle. He's going to have to occupy 2 blockers. I mean, everything here, favors the Packers in a weird way. I do think it's the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is masterful, and Akil brings up a good play. How many free plays does Rodgers get? over or under 5 free plays? I think it's under, but I mean, you give Aaron Rodgers 3 free plays, he's going to kill you. I mean, he's the most accurate deep ball passer I've ever seen in my entire life. I've never seen another human throw a deep ball with more accuracy than Aaron Rodgers ever. And the Bucs' biggest problem on defense is giving up the deep pass. And Breeze to do it, you challenge Aaron Rodgers to beat you deep, he's going to murder you all game long. I'm going to take the Packers 34, Buccaneers 13.
Wow. Yeah, and this is the thing. You can't go into the same game plan as you did against the Saints because Rodgers is going to kill you in the ways that Brees can't. The physical attributes are still there for Aaron Rodgers, and it's clear. The Bucs can get to the passer, JPP, and those guys up front, Dominic and Sue clogging the middle. They have talent all over the place on defense. I love Devin White. I love the way he played. He can make a huge impact in this game, and I think he will. The Packers feel like one of the more complete teams we've watched this year. And I think Aaron Rodgers is just going to get it done. I think him and Devontae Adams are on this special tear. I think him and Bobby Tonyan, I love that he calls him Bobby, and he's never been called Bobby before. I think that's cool. I think you're seeing A.J. Dillon start to come into his own. I think you're going to notice that maybe Aaron Jones leaves for another team, and we see A.J. Dillon next year. The guy has quads like Saquon does. They're just absolutely beastly quads, but I think this is going to be a hell of a game, but I do think the Packers win by 10. I'm going to say 31-21. Green Bay clinches the NFC and clinches a berth to Super Bowl 55, I think we're at, right, Matt? It's 55.
Last time I checked, 55.
All right, 55 it is, and then that leads us to the AFC title game. And Matt, I almost feel like we have to make 2 separate predictions for this. However, I'm going to throw out this prediction right off the top here. All this speculation, Patrick Mahomes, he's in concussion protocol. Is he going to play? Look, the NFL does not give a single shit about their players' safety. Pat Mahomes is going to play in this football game, guys. I don't know what to tell you. There's no way Pat Mahomes is sitting out of this game. I don't know how you feel. But that was my pretty much initial thought once they started to say, oh, he feels great. We'll see how he does in a couple days. There's no way Pat Mahomes isn't playing in this game.
An act of God, I think, would have to keep Mahomes out of this game. And I don't see that happening. From my perspective, you take a look at the Chiefs, and the best thing that could happen to the Chiefs happened to the Chiefs. It was when he got knocked out of the game, I think it did 2 things. It showed them that their margin of error is thin. Even for as good as they are, they still have to play really good football at both ends, offense and defense. Secondly, I hope to God Andy Reid takes that stupid fucking option, balls it up, and throws it in the trash can. Why you run an option with the best quarterback in the NFL is beyond stupid. Not only which makes it stupid, it's amplified because you did it on 3rd down and you were up by, 10?
And he was hobbled already. And his foot was already hurt.
I mean, Jesus Christ, what are you doing? To me, it was incredibly stupid. For as smart as Andy Reid is, and as much credit, do you know what that kind of harkens back to me? The reason why the Eagles never won a Super Bowl with them, the reason why they never got to more Super Bowls, is because Andy Reid got in his own way. Don't put your quarterback in that position ever again. Patrick Mahomes should never run another quarterback option for the rest of his fucking career. I mean, Mitch Trubisky, let him run the option because the drop-off isn't that big. The drop-off from Mahomes to Chad Henne? I mean, it's from Earth to Pluto? I mean, it's not even comparable. It's so big.
Yeah. I mean, Pat Mahomes runs. It's not like he doesn't use his legs, but it's usually spontaneous. It's usually when there's nobody open or he can get a few yards to get a first down. It's not a designed run, which is easier to defend, and it's not with a pitch man behind him that he just ignored altogether, and in which he took on a linebacker one-on-one. When you're rolling out and you decide to reach out to get the first down or you slide, you're not taking that kind of hit. Pat Mahomes said, all right, Mac, I'm just going to let you just crush me when I try to get this first down. You can't put your quarterback, who was already hobbled in that situation. Absolutely just unbelievable call, especially when you've been killing them with crossing routes all day. All you have to do is say, hey, Kelsey, run 7 yards and turn around. The ball will be there, and you get the first down. Hand the ball off to Darrell Williams. Darrell Williams looked amazing. It just didn't make any sense to me, that play call. And, yeah, I don't think they're just going to throw it in the garbage. I think they are going to launch it to Pluto. That play call is all but dead to me. There's no way Pat Mahomes doesn't play in this game. I'm sorry. They're already even trying to spin it. With Jake Glazer, I don't know if you saw his report. They said that it felt like he got choked out. Like if you're a UFC fighter and you get choked out and you wake up and you're a little woozy. Because the hit wasn't like helmet to helmet or like anything like that. It was a weird hit. So they're already trying to spin it like he never had a concussion to begin with. Like, I'm telling you, this is what's going to come out later and on Friday. Like, Pat Mahomes never really had a concussion, maybe a mild one at best. But he's absolutely playing in this football game. Believe it. I'm just telling you right now. There's no way Chad freaking Henne is playing in this game unless Mahomes ends up with another concussion next week. All right, so Pat Mahomes. Obviously, we love Pat Mahomes. He's going to play. I'm just telling you right now he's going to play. The other quarterback in this game, I posted in the group earlier, there was a post like, oh, which quarterback do you want down 4 with 2 minutes left? One of these things is not like the other. You can give me 3 of these guys down 4 with 2 minutes left, and I feel pretty good. You give me Josh Allen, I don't really know how well I feel. And I know he's had an unbelievable year, but do you have any faith in Josh Allen going into Kansas City in this game?
Nope. To me, Josh Allen is just – if Stephon Diggs gets hurt, God help this team, because you can have Cole Beasley's little 3-yard digs all you want. It's not going to mean a damn thing. Stephon Diggs gives this offense. They can't run the football. They cannot. You give us 20 minutes of possession time in a half, you're going to be down 28 real, and you're going to have to be figuring out how to do it. To me, the Chiefs are going to come in with a very simple game plan. Baltimore could not throw the football. Buffalo didn't think they could. They challenged them. They couldn't do it. You blitz Patrick Mahomes, you are dead on arrival. He's going to spot that. They're going to put Travis Kelce there. They're going to put Sammy Watkins there, Hardman there, whoever you want to name. If Sammy Watkins plays, good luck to you. Tyreek Hill, it doesn't matter. The weapons are endless. Clyde Edwards-Helaire should be back for this game. It is going to be a real difficult challenge for the Bills to pick their poison. And Josh Allen's going to have to play the game of his life in Kansas City. Windy as hell there. The inclement weather's going to be there. I don't love this game for Buffalo. I think it's the Chiefs. I don't think it's going to be as a big of a point spread as we see with Packers and Bucks.
Right.
I do think the Chiefs win this game. And with Mahomes at quarterback, no quarterback options, no Chad Henne, but I like the Chiefs to win this game rather easily. They're not going to be sweating too much.
The only thing that worries me is the Chiefs' defense. I don't think the Chiefs' defense is great by any means. I think they are fortunate to get that call against the Browns where the ball bounces out of the end zone and they get the ball back. I mean, that changes the game altogether. I know it's the rule. You made a play. I'm not criticizing you for that, but I think they're fortunate for that. I think the Bills might move the ball pretty well here, but it comes down to, can the Chiefs keep them out of the end zone? Because Tyler Bass has been shaky this playoffs, to say the least. He missed a couple kicks on Saturday night as well. So if the Chiefs can, do this bend, don't break thing, keep Josh Allen out of the end zone, keep Diggs out of the end zone, make them kick field goals. Look, field goals aren't going to beat the Chiefs. So to me, it comes down to the Chiefs. If the Chiefs do the same formula they did when they played the Bills the first time, where they ran the ball, I believe they had over 250 rushing yards against the Bills the first time they played. They can play keep away, and their defense is fresh, and they prepare well for Josh Allen. I mean, Tyrann Mathieu was all over Baker Mayfield. I think you might be doing the same kind of thing with Josh Allen this week. I expect the Chiefs to come in there with a similar game plan. They're going to run the ball until the Bills say, you know what, you're not running anymore. Here comes play action passes. Here comes Travis Kelce over the middle. Here comes Tyreek Hill deep. I think it's a bad matchup for the Bills defense too. If the Bills are in a shootout with the Chiefs, I'm sorry, sign me up for the Chiefs. I'm going to say Kansas City 37, Buffalo 28 is my final score. Matt, what's your final score?
I will go the Chiefs 27 to Buffalo's 14.
All right, you have a lot more faith in the Kansas City's defense than me. We'll see what happens. All right, Matt, there were Final Four. This is an exciting weekend in the NFL, man. Super Bowl on the line this weekend. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to watch. We will be back next Tuesday. But, Matt, we got plenty of other shows in the Life Group umbrella. Before we say goodbye, why don't we tell them about them?
Absolutely, Randy. Wednesday, we have the Step Back with Jacob Anthony Moses, Leon Tompkins. They don't sing, but they should. If we give them any lessons. Oh, just sing a tune, boys. You can be in the Grammys with us. But no, the Step Back, love their analysis, love their breakdown. Leon and Jacob are as good as it gets, breaking down basketball. Knicks look halfway decent. They're playing defense under Tibbs. So I'm sure they'll have plenty to say about that. And Leon gets to celebrate James Harden now with the Brooklyn Nets. So I'm sure he's very happy about that. Then Thursday, the Work, Shoot, Wrestling podcast with our good friends Corey Richmond and Jason Brooks. Corey was so kind enough to join us. Lots of wrestling stuff. Randy Orton gets shoot with a fireball in his face, apparently. And now he's wearing a luchador mask. Chris Jericho's extremely overweight, and NBA people are making fun of him. So that's a thing, apparently. So Corey and Jason down. I love listening to their wrestling podcast. Brings the kid out in me again.
Yes.
11-year-old Matt trying to pretend The Undertaker's winning WWF titles left and right. And then Sunday, we have Felipe Malicio and Sean Flannery with the Total Bases podcast. Listen to it today. Very excellent stuff on the White Sox, Randy. Why you'd be scared of them because they're coming like a freight train, baby.
Okay.
And then Monday we
DJ
have
LeMahieu, Corey Kluber, what do we have to worry about? Come on, baby.
Yeah. Well, don't bet on that guy. Your number 2 starter had elbow or shoulder reconstruction surgery. Nothing to see here.
No worries.
And then you have your Yankee fan, Long City, Vince Mercandetti and Henry Maldonado Jr. They break it down, give you a fresh perspective. I'm sure they have a lot to say about that Mets ex-general manager and his dirty habit. And then we're back, Randy.
Yeah. PSA. No woman wants to see it, all right? Don't do it.
Keep it in your pants. Keep it in your pants and off your phone. So,
yeah.
and then
as Herm Edwards would said, and what Herm Edwards once said, don't press send.
Don't press send. Do not hit send.
Yeah.
And then we're back, baby. We're breaking down a Chiefs-Bills AFC title game and a Packers-Bucks NFC title game. NFL pulled it off this year. Kudos to the NFL. You showed us many things. More or less, you don't care about a player's health or safety. But hell, you provided us 19 weeks of entertainment thus far, or 20.
That's right. All right. Well, Matt, it's a pleasure as always. Tuesday nights, we love talking some football. Can't believe we made it to this point, how fast the season has gone by. Thank you guys so much for joining us, whether you're live with us on Facebook, on YouTube, whether you're listening to us on any of our audio-only platforms. Thank you so much for making us part of your day, wherever you may be. Thank you so much for all of the support. All right, for Matt Bushnell, I'm Randy Hammond. This has been Football Life Presents the Audible, saying enjoy championship weekend. We'll see you next week.